Now, in this video, I have to say right off the bat, you are a free trade hypocrite. Those silly little hats that you wear, Paleo, and they are so silly and so awful. If you really believe in free trade, you will have constructed those hats yourself. You will have sewed all your clothes together. You will have pounded the leather for your tennis shoes and constructed them into tennis shoes yourself. And you will have built your own house. You will have smithed your own pots and pans. You will have done everything under God's green earth for yourself. And you die at the age of 32 after having lived a long and full life under the circumstances. So what really is happening here is you believe in free trade. You love free trade, as a matter of fact, but you only love it to the point that it's palatable for you. I, on the other hand, realize that I believe in some concepts that lead to things that are not all that palatable for me. I'm going to put a link to a video in the left here that shows Chinese men working, and click on it. It's only a few seconds long. You'll see what I mean. And to me, that's offensive, and it's not palatable. But coercion is less palatable than what you'll see in that video. You say it's wet outside, so I automatically think that it's raining. You, on the other hand, want us to believe that in the country where free trade has been practiced more purely than any place on the face of the earth, in the history of the earth, and we see more prosperity than at any other time and place on earth, but yet it's some crazy accident that these two things happen to coincide. And all around the world, in all ages of the world, in all eras of our world's history, it just so happens that the degree to which the people enjoy free trade is the degree to which they prosper. You know, England is a pretty prosperous country by almost any standard, but they have marked flaws. Their healthcare system, and the dental system in particular, is wretched. And it's a very practical thing that you actually see Englishmen pulling their teeth out with pliers, and it's a joke that Englishmen have bad teeth. And this is because of a simple reality in their culture where the trade in this area has been so constricted. And you can see that in myriad examples throughout the history of the world. The more free of their trade, the more prosperous the people. And you want us to believe that in the nation that has practiced the purest form of free trade today, that it just so happens that we have things available to us that are not available anywhere else on the face of the planet. So I credit free trade with all these great inventions, and you say, oh, well, where are the great inventions coming out of communism? You might as well say, where are the great inventions coming out of government itself? Because that's what this leads to. It leads to total state control of everything. Where are the great inventions of communist Russia? Oh, where are those wonderful technological advances of Cuba? Where are the wonderful technological advances of communist Vietnam and communist China and communist Korea? Where are the great technological advances and wonders coming out of these societies that practice protectionism to the max? They don't. The greatest majority of technological advances come out of the United States market and an economy that is relatively free compared to the rest of the world. And so you're saying I'm making an assumption, but you're wanting us to make an even bigger assumption and just pretend as if it's some crazy accident that these things are all happening in the same place. And it's ridiculous and ludicrous and naive. Protectionists always go after free traders on saying that, oh, it's all about this individual. We think we're an island to ourselves. We don't think that our actions affect anybody else. Don't we? We're not collectivists, us protectionists, but we're not communists. But don't you see that your actions affect other people as well? Well, What nobody understands is that if you're believing the opposite, you're believing that somebody else has a say-so over me. We don't believe in free trade because we only care about ourselves. As I stated in the previous video, I believe in free trade because I care about other people. But we do happen to believe, and this may be audacious, but we do happen to believe that we're the only persons that know best for our own selves. We don't only care about ourselves, but we don't think a third party knows better for ourselves than we do. We happen to believe that we know best for ourselves. And Paleo, you know the best for yourself. And everybody else knows the best for themselves. I don't pretend to know what's best for my neighbor. I let my neighbor conduct his own affairs. But what protectionism does is it says, no, 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 Mr. John. You'd like to go buy ethanol on the cheap from Brazil, but we have a guy over here in America. Now he's wanting to sell it to you for whatever, 60 cents a gallon more, but you should buy it from him. And I'm saying, well, look, ethanol is going to be the main source of fuel for my car, and I drive my car 750 miles a week, so that's going to be a major expense. That's going to be $40, $60, $80 a week, and I'm going to do that 4 weeks a month, and that's $320. I'd rather keep that $320 in my pocket. And what you're saying is, no, give this guy over here $120 of your $320. Give him $200 of your $300. Because he happens to reside in the same country as you, and it's a massive transfer of wealth based on political favoritism. So I don't believe in free trade because I think the individual, I only care about myself. I just don't think you or anybody else knows better for me than I know for myself. If what you're saying about outsourcing is true, back in the old day, when somebody was thrown out of a job, another American took that person up, and that American started doing other things for other Americans, and he was caught back up into the American economy. Now we throw somebody out of a job, we throw that job over to China. Well, if that were true, either the population of the U.S. would eventually be zero, or unemployment would be infinite. You're not thinking logically about what you're saying. If these jobs are never caught up, they're only transferred out to China, first of all, you completely ignore a whole video I have up about China losing manufacturing jobs also. But if what you're saying is true, and somehow China's manufacturing sector were on the rise, logically, there would have to be infinite unemployment here in the United States. Because for every job outsourced to the U.S., out of the U.S., you're saying that another job is not created here in the United States. So that person is automatically unemployed. But yet we don't see this. Unemployment's low. It's low, man. Historically, it's very low. Even with the recent jump we had, which was due to the minimum wage increase. Silly, 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 paleocrat. If every job that is lost due to free trade goes to China, we'd have infinite unemployment here. Or the population would be zero, because we'd have to go over there to get work. We'd just all starve here. You're talking about people, when I say people, the society would be better with less people working, you're talking about people, you're assuming I'm talking about people being out of a job. I'm talking about people not having to work because of prosperity. And that's preferable by far. You say, oh, in the places where people have a job to go to every morning, those places are better. And I'm running out of time, but I'm talking about people not having to work, like the elderly, which you totally ignore, like the young children, which you totally ignore, which was a big point I made. You totally ignore those. These people don't work because of prosperity, not because of lack of jobs. That's all the time I have. You go into Jefferson, and you're totally wrong on Jefferson. I may make another video on that. But that's all the time I have on that.